Did you know food is the single largest component taking up space inside U.S. landfills? In fact, it makes up 22% of municipal solid waste. According to ReFed, Americans waste roughly 80 billion pounds of food each year, and nearly half of that happens at home.
That's right. Most of the food waste in America happens with food that is brought into our home. Why? That's what we asked ourselves, and here is what we found.
Welcome to Food Waste Food Rescue, where we will explore food waste and discuss strategies to keep food out of the waste bin.
Let's start with the big picture. This is the latest waste characterization study conducted by CalRecycle. It shows what percent of each item goes into our landfill. As you can see, organic waste is number 1, and food waste comprises over half of all of our organic waste.
Riverside County sends about 2.5 million tons of waste to the landfill per year, which means nearly 500,000 tons of food is thrown out into our landfill every year. Why is that important? Why should you care? Well, here are 5 good reasons you should care.
Number 1. 1 in 7 households in California are food insecure, so a lot of food gets wasted when it could be used to feed hungry families. That's not good for society. Number 2. Food waste in the landfill rots and converts into methane, a potent greenhouse gas with 21 times the global warming potential of carbon dioxide. That's just not good for the environment. Number 3. We all know how important water conservation is to our state, and 25% of fresh water supply in the US is used to produce food that is never eaten. That's not good for California. Number 4. It is estimated that the average family of 4 spends between $1,500 to $2,000 a year on food that is never eaten. That's just not good for our budget. And number 5, when landfills fill up, we have to build more landfills. Landfills are expensive to build and maintain, plus acquiring more land for a landfill is never easy. So let's make our current landfills last as long as possible by not filling them up as fast as possible. That's why it's so important to recycle and divert your waste. The question is how? How can you reduce the amount of food you are sending to the landfill?
First, let's think about why so much food goes to the landfill. Let's think about our behavior at home and what we can do to improve it. The first step is understanding the difference between food waste and wasted food. It sounds the same, but the differences are associated with completely different behavior, and there's a strategy to deal with each.
What is food waste? Well, have you ever peeled a banana or a grapefruit? Or not eaten the apple core, or cut off the rind of a watermelon, cracked an egg, had leftover coffee grinds or a tea bag? Of course you have. We all have. This is all food waste. It is the natural byproduct of preparing and eating food. We all cut off the top of a carrot and peel a potato. But that doesn't mean we are being wasteful. We are simply preparing a meal and creating food waste during the preparation. So what can you do?
Food waste is best managed by composting or vermicomposting. If you have space in your backyard, you can compost food waste along with your landscape waste. We call it backyard composting, and we have free classes you can attend to learn how to do it. Or you can watch our online video and learn on your own.
Vermicomposting is similar to composting, only you use worms to do the work for you. Plus, you don't need a backyard to vermicompost. You put your food scraps right into the vermicomposting bin, and the worms eat it and turn it into worm castings. The castings are the best plant food in the world, so rich in nutrients that you have to dilute them significantly when adding them to your soil. Once again, we teach you just how to do that online in our video or when you sign up for a free class.
Vermicomposting is easy, fun, and great for the environment. We teach you how to do it right, so there's no smell and no hassle. Remember, we all have food waste, and composting or vermicomposting are 2 great ways to manage it, keeping food out of the landfill and helping your soil stay healthy for all the plants in your garden.
But what about wasted food? What is the difference between food waste and wasted food? Well, food waste happens naturally during the preparation of making a meal, but wasted food comes from buying too much, cooking too much, ordering too much, letting something rot or get stale. It also happens when we make food that others don't like. We know how finicky kids can get. Wasted food happens because of our behavior at home, in the store, or in restaurants. It is something that we do that we can change if we are aware of it. So let's talk about wasted food and what we can do to stop it.
The number one reason people waste food at home is because they don't use it before the date expires. But has it really gone bad just because the date has expired? There is a lot of confusion about expiration dates. So let us try to explain. The one date that is your most important guide is the use by date. Often there is best if used by or best by dates or sometimes sell by dates, but these don't indicate whether the food has reached its safe to eat date yet. Most food, including dairy, is often good for longer than the date suggests. So, first off, only look at the use by date for guidance, and even though the date may have passed, always give your food the smell test. Usually the nose knows. If it smells funny, toss it, compost it, or feed it to the worms. But if it smells okay, even if it's past the use by date, then it's probably okay to eat, especially if cooked to a certain temperature. In other words, don't give up simply because the date has passed.
For other don't give up tips, go to savethefood.com. There are all sorts of tips on ways to save food that looks like it might be ready to throw out. Tips to save food if it looks wilted, stale, too salty, overcooked, or burned. They also have great tips on how to freeze food safely so that it's just as delicious when you're ready to thaw it and eat it.
Another way to never give up is to use websites that give you great recipes for food that often gets thrown out. Save the Food has many such recipes. Or in the case of Epicurious.com, you simply type in the 2 or 3 items that you have available in your pantry or fridge, and their search engine provides the recipes. This works especially well if something's about to go bad. Don't give up. Type in what you have in the house, and you'll get all sorts of tasty ideas.
Other websites you can use include bonappetit.com, tasteofhome.com, healthline.com, bettycrocker.com, and sustainableamerica.org. You can even find websites for specific ingredients such as watermelon.org.
So whatever it is, whatever you have in the house, don't give up. Find a website for recipes and tips on how to eat it, store it, or freeze it. There's all sorts of information online, and once you have the information, use it to help you make a list.
Making a grocery list before you go shopping is one of the most helpful ways to not waste food. We all know what it's like to go to the store and buy what looks good or what you think you'll cook one day or what's on sale. And then when you get home, you just never get around to eating it. It stays in the back of your refrigerator or in the back of the pantry until one day you just throw it out. Well, it's time to start breaking that habit. Go to the store and buy what's on the list. Have recipes and have a plan when you shop. That way you'll use what you have. Just because you have a big grocery cart doesn't mean you have to fill it up every time. Shop more strategically and you'll probably waste less food.
By the way, there are all sorts of great apps you can download on your phone to help you organize your shopping trips, save money, and reduce waste. And don't forget about those imperfect fruits and vegetables when you're shopping. Some grocery stores have imperfect fruit and vegetable sections where they sell the stuff that doesn't look perfect and it's priced for less. The thing is, it may not look the same, but it probably tastes the same, especially if it's being cooked, chopped, or made into a dessert or smoothie. There's also a really great website you can check out where you can order imperfect food online and have it delivered to your door. Check out imperfectfoods.com. And remember, don't give up.
The best way to stop wasting food in restaurants is to order the right amount. Consider sharing a plate of food, or order something and if you're still hungry, order more. But we tend to order a lot at restaurants, often bringing home what we didn't eat and then letting it sit in the back of the fridge until it's not edible anymore.
By the way, did you know restaurants will allow you to bring in your own reusable containers? So if you do order too much, try to keep it out of the styrofoam to-go containers and put it in a reusable, and then eat it for lunch the next day.
Don't let it sit in the fridge for too long or it will become waste. And once again, research websites on what to do with leftovers. Try lovefoodhatewaste.com for a start. But there are many others.
Another tip is to put that tray down when going to a buffet. Studies show that we tend to take nearly twice as much food as we normally eat when we use a tray. Hey, if you're starving, I get it. But if you want to eat a normal amount, don't overdo it and just take the plate, not the tray.
Gardening is one of the best ways to reduce the amount of food you waste. Why? It's psychology. As people, we tend to feel less guilty throwing out food we purchased than throwing out food we grew ourselves. Plus, fresh food is much tastier. So grow what you love in a garden, save the money at the grocery store, and eat it instead of wasting what you bought. Or grow it and share it with a neighbor. They will love to eat your fresh fruits and vegetables if you can't eat it all.
Finally, support your local farmer at a farmer's market if you can. Once again, the food will last longer since it's fresh from the local farm and hasn't been sitting in a distributor's warehouse. And you'll probably be more conscious about eating it before it goes bad since you bought it from a local farmer.
Speaking of farms, sometimes farms harvest or pick their crops and then leave to go to the next field when there is still fruit on the tree or crops on the ground. Getting those extra crops before it goes bad is called gleaning, and there are nonprofit gleaning organizations that pick these crops and donate it to hunger organizations. Check with your local food co-op or food bank to see if they need any help with gleaning to reduce the amount of food waste left on the farm.
Restaurants also sometimes have food left over at the end of the night, but are concerned about whether or not they should donate it. Some restaurants are concerned that they might be legally liable for food served after it leaves the restaurant. However, there's a law to protect restaurants.
Federal law protects Good Samaritans who donate food. The law eliminates liability of food donations to food banks except in cases of gross negligence or a willful act. So you shouldn't worry about being sued. There are some basic food rescue rules to follow.
The first rule is to work with your local health department. In Riverside County, that's the Department of Environmental Health. They will advise you about the laws you have to follow about food prep and food safety. But in general,
businesses can donate packaged cheese, yogurt cups and tubes, granola, muffins, apple slices, nuts, and dried fruits. And whole fruits and vegetables with an intact peel or outer skin are always needed, plus sealed bottles of water, cartons of juice, milk, and other beverages. You cannot rescue hot food or food that needs to be kept hot, food in open packages, and whole fruit and vegetables that have already been sliced.
For more information about food rescue programs, search the internet for local food banks or check out Feeding America or Ample Harvest. Locally, Inland Harvest does excellent work. Also, Riverside County has their website you can use.
Type Riverside County food access sites in your search engine and get information on local food pantries, senior meals, and school meal programs. It's updated regularly and can be searched by zip codes.
And if your business is working with a local food pantry, be sure to let your customers know. Put up a sign or state your partnership in your menu. It's good for business, it's good to promote the food bank, and it's good for the environment.
Businesses should also be aware of state laws about managing organic waste, including laws that require food rescue programs. Visit calrecycle.ca.gov for more information, or visit our website under Business Recycling.
If you have any questions, you want to speak with somebody directly, call a recycling specialist at 951-486-3200. We're here to help.
Thank you for joining us for Food Waste Food Rescue. We are Riverside County Department of Waste Resources, where we are managing waste for a better tomorrow.